You've worked hard, you've done your duty, saved your pennies, and now it's time to think about retirement. But before you let loose, you may have critical questions. How can I pick the best plan for me? Where do I go for the right information? What are the tools to make my money grow? Strategy, information, solutions, and advice from qualified credentialed professionals. Joe Anderson and Al Clopine of Pure Financial Advisors have the answers to your retirement plan. This is your money, your wealth.
Do you know the biggest retirement move that you cannot mess up? If you don't, stick around for the next half an hour because Big Al and I are going to help walk you through it. You're listening, you're watching Your Money, Your Wealth. Good morning, everyone. Joe Anderson here. I'm a certified financial planner. As always, I'm with the big man, Big Al Clopine. Thanks for tuning in. We got a great show lined up today. I read an article. It made the cover of Money Magazine. If you get Money Magazine, I would highly encourage you to read this article. It was like there's a lot of mistakes that people are making with their overall retirement dollars. If you have a 401k and you're considering rolling it into an IRA, there's a lot of things that you have to look at and discuss to make sure it's the right option for you. The SEC, FINRA, the regulatory agencies are really taking a close look on this to make sure that the advisory business is doing what's right for you. So that is what's on my mind today. So when you're looking at rolling over some dollars, so I have a 401k. I worked for the company for 20, 30 years. Now I have a big chunk of money. Now the option is, do I keep it in the 401k plan or should I decide to move it out of the 401k plan and put it into an individual retirement account? Four options you have. You can keep money in the plan. You can roll the money into a new employer's plan, or maybe you want to roll the money into an IRA or just cash the whole thing out. Those are your four options when it comes to rolling money out of a 401k plan, and there's a lot of confusion. You want to make sure that you get this right. To help me out, the big man is going to just sort all your options out for you. Big Al?
Yes, there's a lot to consider when you're thinking about a 401k and whether you really should roll that to an IRA. And I guess the things that we're going to go over, some of the things that you need to consider, first of all, is the fees and cost. Did you know inside of a 401k that there's certain fees and costs that you may not even be aware of? There's administrative charges by the company that gets charged to your accounts. There's investments that have costs. But there are also costs inside your IRA, so be aware of that. So that's number one. Number two is what we call distribution planning. If you're going to retire early, you may actually want to keep your money in a 401k because you can get at it sooner without penalty. Investment choices are a big one. We know that there's more investment choices inside IRAs because it's unlimited. Inside your 401k, it may be limited to whatever investments your company has picked, which may be 20 or 40 different investments. So consider that. Another one is consolidation. Some of you have many, many accounts all in one spot, and maybe it would be better to roll those into one account for ease of management. And certainly wow, look at that. And certainly tax considerations are important because if you do this wrong, then you'll end up paying a lot more tax on this rollover because if you do it correctly, there is no tax on the rollover. And Joe, this decision, as you said, is one of the biggest ones that you'll make in retirement.
You know, if you look, Money Magazine, don't make a mistake with your retirement. Al and I, we do a radio show each and every Saturday, 10 to 12. When you want to get more information, you can always go to KFMB. We've been on the radio for just about 10 years. And we talked about this topic on the show last weekend, and we had so much response with it, so we decided to bring that same topic here to the TV program. So when you're looking at the options that you have, well, you have to go back to the basics. First of all, some people don't really understand what a 401k is versus a 403b, maybe an individual retirement account. So let's just go back to the basics. We got a video, and then this can help you out to decide, all right, well, what is the best option for you?
I have a question about my 401k.
Do you mean your 401k?
Yes, my 401k.
Well, a 401k is a tax-deferred retirement plan that is set up by your employer. You can contribute part of your paycheck into the account. Your employer can also match part of your contribution.
I don't need to contribute anything to my retirement. I will just get money from the government through Social Security when I retire.
That is the dumbest thing I have heard all day.
That is the dumbest thing I've heard all day.
Yeah, we talked about Social Security last week.
We did.
And so when Social Security is not there to provide you 100% of your income. So when you look at figuring out, all right, well, here, should I save into a 401k? What are the options? It's a pre-tax contribution that grows 100% tax deferred. And then when you pull the dollars out, that's when you're taxed. But then the decision lies when you're retiring or maybe you change jobs. Do I keep the money into the 401k or maybe should I roll it into an individual retirement account? So there's things that you have to look at. And the first thing, in my opinion, you have to take a look at the fee structure in the 401k plan versus the alternative. Because large corporations, they will have institutional pricing on those mutual funds that are dirt cheap.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And so if you're with a large corporation, maybe 1,000 people or more, then you may have lower pricing, and maybe that's a good thing. Maybe you actually want to keep your money in a 401k. If you're in a smaller corporation, and let's face it, most companies in San Diego are going to be smaller corporations. And so for many of you, you may be having expensive 401ks in terms of the fees inside of those in 401k plans. Now, certainly the investments themselves make a big difference as well. For example, certain kinds of investments, like a retail mutual fund, for example, is very high in cost. And consider that there are certain kinds of investments that are lower in cost. Lower in cost would be like an index fund or an ETF. Higher in cost would be something like a traditional retail mutual fund that has a fund manager trying to beat the market. So be aware of that when you're looking at investments in your 401k versus an IRA. Take a look at not only what the costs are, but in terms of the plan itself, but the cost inside the investments as well.
Here's the problem, Al. There's zero transparency.
It's hard to know what the costs are.
There's zero transparency. So I have a 401k plan, right? I've been investing in the 401k plan for quite some time. And then I take a look to say, all right, well, here I'm retiring. Should I move it into an IRA? I'm here to tell you, if you ever consult with an advisor, a broker, insurance agent, 99.9% of the time, what do they think they're going to tell you to do? Is move it into an IRA so they can manage it. That's how the financial services industry gets paid, our firm included. But there's other things that you absolutely need to consider. Do you feel comfortable managing your own money? If you have a larger plan, I'm telling you, the fees in those plans will be lower than if you go into a brokerage account, because a retail mutual fund is a lot more expensive. Also, when you look at a 403B, that's a tax-sheltered annuity. For all of you educators and teachers from like K through 12, if you have a tax-sheltered annuity, those are some of the most expensive products that you that you might get into, depending, of course, of the company and what type of bells and whistles that it has. So if you have a 403B, then we encourage you to at least take a look at an IRA option. If I'm in a larger 401k plan, it might make more sense to keep it in the plan, depending on what your goals, dreams, aspirations, and what the allocation is, of course.
Joe, we should also say that when we're talking a 401k, we're talking other possible plans as well. So it could be a 403B, it could be a 457, it could be a 401A. They all have very similar tax treatments. So when we're saying 401k today, we're really talking about all those plans sort of combined into one.
Yeah, it could be a set plan, it could be a simple plan, it could be a TSP, 401k, 403B.
Right.
But we just don't want to go through that long list.
Every single time.
Yeah, every single time would be here until 4 p.m. So what we're looking at, what we're talking about today, folks, is to say, all right, well, here, if I have a 401k, do I roll that into an IRA? There's some options. And if I'm looking at retiring early, or maybe I want to continue to work until my 70s, those are different circumstances. And so you have to have different types of planning. And so that, when we get back from the break, that's what I want to get into. Let's talk about distributions. If I'm younger, what should I do? Should I keep it in the plan? Should I roll it out? Because there's tax considerations on all of this.
Absolutely.
And if you screw it up, I'm telling you, you could lose a lot of money. Also, we're going to give away a free rollover analysis today. So anyone that calls the number over the next half an hour will be able to get a free rollover analysis. You can sit down with a certified financial planner. They will take a look at your plan, tell you exactly what your fees are and what your options are to see if it makes sense to keep it in the plan or does it make sense to roll it out. So call the number. It's 888-994-6257. That's 888-994-6257. We got a true-false question coming up right now, so don't go anywhere. When we get back, we're going to talk about distribution, some things that you absolutely need to take a look at before you ever make the decision of rolling your money out. Welcome back to the program. Show's called Your Money, Your Wealth. My name's Joe Anderson. I am a certified financial planner with Mr. Alan Clopine. Of course, he's a CPA. Thanks for tuning in each and every Saturday from 11 to 11:30 on your cable channel 4 station. Talking about rollovers today. To roll or not to roll? It's a big question, and if you get this wrong, it could blow you up. So that's why we're dedicating the show to make sure that you understand all of your options and to see what is the most appropriate for you. More importantly, you want to take action on this. So what we're going to do today for everyone that calls in this half hour is that we're going to give you a full analysis. You can sit down with the certified financial planner. You can look at your options in your current 401k plan and look at the fees, the costs, the structure, what options that you have to see if it's appropriate for your overall situation. And then you can look at your options. Does it make sense to roll it, to keep it in the plan? If you do roll over, how do you actually do it? What is the paperwork involved? So if you want to take advantage of it, that's our gift to you. It's absolutely free of charge. 888-994-6257. Call the number, everyone that calls. In the next, 20 minutes or so, we'll get in for free. Let's go to the true-false question. Big Al, what do we got?
Here we got there's always a 10% early withdrawal penalty if I take the money out of my 401k plan prior to age 59 and a half. And that is definitely false, Joe. And that's because, did you know, actually when you retire or leave your job, you can pull money out of your 401k when you're age 55. Now, an IRA is 59 and a half, and what we're talking about is penalties. If you take the money out too early, you pay a 10% penalty to the feds, you pay 2.5% penalty to the state. But if it's a 401k and you're 55 years old and you're terminated from service or you left your job or you retired, you do not have to pay that 10% penalty. And that's important to know if you're trying to figure out whether you should roll the amounts or not to an IRA.
That's a big, huge misconception, is that everyone thinks it's 59 and a half, 59 and a half, 59 and a half. I can't touch the money until I turn 59 and a half. The answer is false because it's age 55. If I have the money in my at 55 and I separate from service, I can absolutely take that money out. We're going to go through some distribution strategies. I'm going to go over to the whiteboard and try to illustrate it as best I can, Sesame Street style, as Al's going to go through the logistics on all the different distribution laws and potential penalties that you can run into.
Yeah, Joe, I will say the other thing to know really is that there's rules with regards to taking the money out to when you have to take it out. So we said you can take it out at age 55 in a 401k and 59 and a half in an IRA without penalty, but at age 70 and a half, you have to take it out. There's no way around it. So Joe, why don't you kind of illustrate, because this is confusing and there's different rules between the IRA and the 401k.
Right, it depends on your specific situation, what your goals are, and what you're trying to accomplish with the money. So let me just draw a couple of different things out here. All right, so we got two different types of plans. You have an IRA, all right? So that's an individual retirement account. Then you have the good old 401k, okay? So with an IRA, if I'm looking at taking money out prior to 59 and a half, and now there's some hardships and things like that, I'm just looking at retirement income strategy. If I take this out, so I have the 59.5 age, 59.5. If I take it out prior to 59 and a half, boom, 10% federal penalty. So don't do that. You will take, the IRS will eat that account alive. I've seen this before. Someone wants to retire earlier, age 55. So they go to their advisor, they go to the broker, and they say, hey, I'm retiring. I got this nice fat nest egg in my 401k plan. So what do they end up doing? They roll the 401k plan into the IRA. If I'm 55 and I'm retiring, do not do that. Because here's the deal. I could take money from my 401k plan at age 55, and there is no 10% penalty. I can have a full distribution. I can take it all out. I can take several dollars out, whatever your goals are. There is no 10% penalty on a 401k at age 55. So be careful here. Do not roll the money into an IRA if I'm retiring early. Now, let's talk about age when it comes to 70 and a half. So we talked about early retirement. So I'm 55, I want to retire. I've done a great job saving, I'm done. Some of you might have to continue to work until your 60s and 70s. A lot of us will have to continue to work to our 60s and 70s. Now, in an IRA plan, there is the good old oops. You know what? I'm just going to do this. Bam, start over. So in my IRA, so I have a 70 7.5 rule. That is called an RMD, required minimum distribution. At 70.5, I'm required by law to start taking money from that account. So it starts at about 3.5%. Each year as you age, you're going to take more and more and more dollars out. It creates a tax time bomb for a lot of you. Now, a lot of you might not know this. Let's say I have money in my 401k plan. I'm still working. I'm still contributing to the plan. Okay? I'm 70.5. There is no required minimum distribution. Right? Get rid of this. If I'm 70.5, still working. If I'm still contributing to the plan, I'm still an active participant. I do not have to take the money out of the plan until April 1st, the following year after I retire. So let's say I'm 75, 76, 77, I'm still going strong, still saving money into my 401k plan. Then I retire at age 78. I did not have to take a required distribution from that plan now until April 1st, the following year after I retire. So there's misconceptions. Let's say, hey, let's get the money out of the 401k, put it into an IRA as you're still working. Well, you don't do that because what happens, you'll have to take the required distribution out of the IRA. But if I kept it in the 401k, Al, there was no required minimum distribution.
Yeah, that's absolutely right, Joe. And let's actually go on to the next thing to consider, which is investments. And when you're thinking about your investments, certainly an IRA, you've heard this probably from other financial advisors, investment counselors and so forth, that there's more choices inside of an IRA, and that's true. There's thousands of investments inside of an IRA, and as far as your 401k, you may only have 20 or 40 different investments as your employer has picked them. But I will tell you this, more options is not always better. And I was just reading an article, to be honest, about some advisors that got in with some AT&T employees, and they started telling them, you know what, you ought to roll your 401ks to an IRA and we'll help invest it for you. There's nothing wrong with that, but here's what they did. They ended up selling them variable annuities and non-traded REITs, real estate investment trusts, that are very expensive. And these people ended up actually losing a lot of money. So be careful in terms of rolling over. A lot of your investment advisors will tell you to roll over because of the investment choices. That's true, but be very cognizant of what investments that you're going into, because if you're going like these AT&T employees, they would have been better off staying in their existing investments.
Or working with the fiduciary, Al. So you want to make sure that who you're dealing with, are they selling you commissionable products? What are the products that you're going into? Here's another thing that we see real quickly is that, let's say I have all these different accounts, right? I have all these 401ks and IRAs, and I'm managing these all differently, right? It gets cumbersome. As you get older, trying to create retirement income, and you have all these accounts, it might make more sense then to roll all of those accounts into one IRA, okay, one individual retirement account. That's probably going to be the best option for you, because when you're looking at mitigating costs, mitigating fees, having the best diversified portfolio that you can, rebalancing, this is key to make sure that you have it into one account. So there's pros and cons to each. Keep it in the 401k, roll it into an IRA. We don't know. We're just trying to give you the options. If you want to come into our office, we're giving away a free rollover analysis. Here's the number real quick, 888-994-6257, 888-994-6257. Don't go anywhere. We're going to wrap this thing up. We're going to look at more distribution challenges. We'll get to your true-false questions. Show's called Your Money, Your Wealth.
What's my position?
Your position is 0, nothing, nada. You're wiped out.
My entire portfolio? What about my 401k?
It's in the crapper, Chief.
Damn it. I sleep for 4 years. I expect my investments to grow. You told me Fannie Mae was my ticket to early retirement.
You want to know who's to blame? An ancient evil.
Prometheans.
No. Basically anybody with a white collar.
Hey, welcome back. Happy Saturday morning, everyone. Joe Anderson here. I'm a certified financial planner, president of Pure Financial Advisors. You know what, Al? I tapped the table. I just had a lesson this week of not tapping the tables, not having a pen in hand. Here I go, blowing up right there. We almost made it to the finish line, and now I'm going to get consulted.
You know what my lesson
Lynn
was,
Stewart.
Joe? I'm a wiggler, so I shouldn't wiggle so much.
I mean, you're a constant wiggler, Al. Here's the whole time.
Yes. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Better this week, right? So I'm trying to, but they said I could wiggle my feet underneath the table when I'm sitting at the table. So I was doing that, just like a duck, with the feet under the water.
Right. Yeah, the ground was shaking a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
Hey, what we're doing is giving away a free rollover analyst analysis. Something that can take a look at your overall rollover. You have to come into the office. It's not a document that we're going to send out to you because there's no way we can analyze it for you. We want to get the statements to take a look at, all right, well, how much money are you paying in fees? What's the cost? What's the portfolio look like? Is everything headed towards your goals? Are you managing it correctly? What are the tax considerations? It's a big deal. You do not want to mess this up. Pure Financial Advisors, we're a fee-only registered investment advisor. There is no commissions whatsoever at our fee or at our firm, so call the number 888-994-6257. If you don't feel comfortable going into the office, and I don't blame you, there's another option that you can use. You can go to a retirement planning course. One of our retirement planning courses we hold all over Southern California. There's me. I'm a little heavier than. And I'm talking about rollovers and the tax consequence. Go to our website at Pure Financial. It's a 6-hour adult education course that if you're in retirement or close to retirement, I'm telling you, you're going to get a handful of information that's going to make you better investor. You're going to have a successful retirement. You're going to save money in tax, the whole 9 yards. So just go to purefinancial.com. You can just click on the icon, and then you can register for any class coming up over the summer or into the fall. Now, let's go to the true-false question.
Here we go. All individual retirement accounts are created equal and have the same tax rules. Wow, that is absolutely false. That's why we're having...
because there's a typo there.
Yeah.
Because that said all individual retirement accounts. That would be true because that's an IRA.
True.
All retirement accounts.
All right, take the individual out of there.
So take the individual out,
all retirement accounts, and they are all different. That's why we're doing this show, because there are different rules on each one. 401ks have different rules than IRAs, and the question of the day really is, should you roll your 401k to an IRA? And the answer is, it depends. And the things that we're going over today, we talked about fees and costs in an IRA versus a 401k. We talked about different distribution rules. We also talked about investment choices. And Joe, let's get into tax considerations a little bit, because that's a big part of this as well.
Yeah, right on, Al. So if I decide to take the 401k and roll it into an individual retirement account, here's what you have to take a look at. You can do a rollover, a direct rollover, or a transfer, all right? Or you can just cash the plan out.
Yeah, now those all sound the same, right?
Right. So if I look at a rollover, Al, you would think, okay, well, here, I'm rolling it over. That's what everyone says. Just roll the plan over. If you select rollover, you're going to have a tax issue. Let's say I have $100,000 and I select rollover with my paperwork. So what the employer is going to do is send me a check, $100,000 made out to Joseph Anderson. I do not want that check made out to me. No, that is not hallelujah. That is no bueno. Because what happens is that they'll automatically, by law, have to withhold 20% tax. So I'm not going to receive the full $100,000. What I'm going to receive is $80,000. Now, I have 60 days to find the other $20,000 to put into the account to make the account whole, to avoid any type of penalties or taxation. Do not select rollover. What you want to select is direct rollover. I know it's so stupid, but that's the law. Direct rollover will do this, is that, all right, they will still send me the check, but it won't be in my name. Let's say I establish an account at TD Ameritrade. So it will say TD Ameritrade for the benefit of Joe Anderson. Now there is zero tax withheld. I take that check and then I deposit into my individual retirement account at TD Ameritrade. So direct rollover is the proper way to do this. Or in some cases, you can do a direct transfer. So you don't even see the money at all. It will transfer directly from your 401k plan to the custodian, such as Charles Schwab, TD Ameritrade, Vanguard, Merrill Lynch, whoever that you want to have manage your money.
Joe, a couple more quick things when it comes to taxes. Sometimes people are tempted to just cash the plan out. Get your money and run. Don't do it. This is for your retirement. It's not to be spent for vacations, for college, whatever. It's for your retirement. If you cash out early, chances are, let's say you're in a 25% tax bracket plus state. That's close to 35%. Then there's a 10% federal penalty, 45%, 2.5% state penalty. You're paying almost a 50% tax. You do not want to do that. Don't cash out these retirement plans early.
Now, 46% of people take the money and run.
They do.
46% of people cash it out. And the problem with that is that there's a lot of small balances. You can roll the plan out. In most cases, if you have a balance under $5,000, the employer will tell you to roll it out. We could talk about net unrealized appreciation, but we're not. We can save that for another show. We haven't been to the email bag in quite some time, so I think we have time for one quick email. So let's get to that.
All right, here we go. I have a large 401k balance of $1.5 million, and I've heard that if I roll over the funds to an IRA, they won't be protected from creditors. Is this true?
That is a great question. So when you're looking at physicians, attorneys, professionals that have a business, and they want creditor protection, such under ERISA law, right? So if I get sued, well, here's the law. So if it is originated from a 401k plan and I roll that into an IRA, you still have the same creditor protection. So you don't necessarily have to worry about that if it came from a 401k. Now, if I've contributed to an IRA, non-deductible or deductible IRA, those have separate laws. But if it originated from a 401k into an IRA, that would be protected at that $1.5 million level. All right. That's it, Al. Great job today, buddy.
It was fun.
We're cruising. We're cruising. Next week, we're going to get into IRA planning. We're looking at stretch IRAs, inherited IRAs. There's a lot of things that you want to look at because you don't want to blow these accounts up. There's so much money in the accounts. Call the number 888-994-6257 to get your rollover analysis. And have a wonderful, wonderful weekend, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the show. We had a lot of fun. We'll see you again next week right here on the same station. You're watching Your Money, and it's your wealth.